Alright, so this is my predictions for the upcoming season coming in a few days, about 2 weeks maybe. This is my seeding predictions. Again, like last year. Didn't do so good on them last year. Hopefully I can do better this year. But let's just hop straight into it. Okay. Number 1 seed, I have the Lakers, defending champions, the best duo in the league. They got the most depth in the league in my opinion. So that's neither here nor there. That's my 1 seed for the West. 2 seed for the West is Nuggets. They showed a lot of people up in the bubble and showed how intense that team can be. Got a lot of young talent. Lost Jeremy Grant, but I still like that team a lot. I'm pretty sure they can narrow out the 2 seed in the tough West. I really like the tandem between Jokic and Jamal Murray. 3 seed in the West, Clippers. Even through all the memes and losing how they lost, blowing the 3-1 lead to the Nuggets, I still think they're a top 3 team in the West. Seeding or regular season is not really their thing, so I think they'll finish about the 3rd spot, and maybe even a little lower, because like I said, the regular season is not really their thing. But I think that's just a respect thing, me putting them at 3. Number 4, this is going to be surprising to a lot of people, and may leave a comment down below if they do come across this video. Number 4 is the Trailblazers. They made a lot of underrated pickups, and like Robert Covington. Who else did they get? They re-signed Carmelo. They got a bunch of good pickups. Derrick Jones Jr., that's the other player I wanted to speak about. Yeah, should have had that up, but I didn't think I would forget about it. Yeah, Derrick Jones Jr., very solid player. Robert Covington, like I said, those 2 people. They got Trevor Ariza in a trade. I don't know how much he's got left in him, but yeah, I have faith in Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Carmelo, the veteran. Terry Stotts as a regular season coach. Playoffs, that's a different story. In the 5 seed, the Mavericks, having them a little lower than I wanted to. I kind of wanted to put them as the 3 seed, maybe even a 2 seed, but that might be far-fetched to some. But man, Luka Doncic is the real deal. You gotta watch out for Kristaps' health and him staying healthy and all that. But their team's very deep. They got a bunch of solid players. Luka Doncic is the best young player in the league over Tatum and over Giannis. I think he's better than Giannis. Has a more complete game. Plays in a tougher conference, so he can't make it as far. Averaging 29, 9-9 last year. That's pretty great. Then my 6 seed is the Suns. Finally breaking the playoff streak since Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash. And that'll be a very solid squad. You got Devin Booker, Chris Paul, one of the top 3-point guards in the league. I don't know if that's a hot take, it shouldn't be. And DeAndre Ayton. Those pick and rolls are going to be deadly. Just like after Chris Paul left, DeAndre Jordan, you didn't hear much of him. Well, DeAndre Ayton's already that much talented. I think Chris Paul can aid in his come up into stardom. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see how that team does. Worst case scenario, I think they're at 8 seed, so I believe they will be breaking the streak this year. And my 7th seed are Golden State Warriors. Just the respect for Steve Kerr, him as a coach, the organization, and of course Steph Curry, his greatness, being the best point guard in the league and one of the best point guards of all time and the best shooter of all time. The injury to Clay was very detrimental, very hurtful, but I mean, I still have a lot to look forward to. And the young man, James Wiseman, Rookie of the Year candidate off the bat. And yeah, man, just their second unit, that's got a lot of questions. You still got Draymond, you still got Steph, you got Andrew Wiggins. So I mean, you got James Wiseman, you got solid pieces there. The best guard in the league, of course. And the 8 seed, I have the Jazz. I really like Donovan Mitchell. Rudy Gobert, top defensive player of the year candidate every year. And man, Pandemic Man himself, Rudy Gobert. But yeah, man, I feel like he's overrated in the playoffs. He's properly rated in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, I think people just overrate him a little bit. But yeah, man, I didn't want it. They were a 6 seed last year. I had them being as an 8 seed this year. Jazz fans don't take that as an insult. It's not that bad of a thing to slide down 2 spots in this deep Western Conference. But yeah, that's my 1 through 8 for the West. And now, yeah, it's my 1 through 8 for the West. Let me get to the East. Number 1, I have the Bucks. Just, you have Giannis, you have Chris Middleton, now you have Drew Holiday. Now you have a deeper bench. He just signed an extension. And yeah, Mike Budenholzer, almost dang near perfect regular season coach, playoff coach. That's a whole different dynamic and story. It also falls on Giannis' shoulder too for coming up short. You got to develop a jump shot. Got to round out that post game more so you can draw in the double teams and pass out to your shooters. That's neither here nor there. In my 2 seed, I have just had a finals berth with that young team with the great leader Jimmy Butler. Number 2, I had the Miami Heat. I'd like to see what they would do. They may end up trying to trade for James Harden. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it though. All that young talent and Jimmy Butler. And you also got Bam Adebayo. You got Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic, Kendrick Nunn. Yeah, you got a whole lot of pieces there. Eric Spoelstra, the best coach in the league, in my opinion, after that bubble performance. And then 3 seed, you have the Nets. Kyrie Irving's health is always a concern. KD, top 3 player in the world, bar none. Even coming off an Achilles, I think he's top 2. But I think there's a little gap between him and LeBron James. But yeah, that's a discussion for another day, another video. But yeah, man, I have the Nets. I have the deepest team, maybe one of the deepest teams in the league, top 3 deepest. Say the Hawks are very deep, the Lakers are very deep, Heat's very deep, Nets are very deep as well. But yeah, man, the Nets has a 3 seed because of KD coming off an injury, Kyrie coming off an injury. He's one of the most injury-prone players in the league. Steve Nash being a rookie coach, I think the 3 seed does them solid, but I do see them making it if the team doesn't implode in the middle of the season and they get their chemistry going. I do see them making it to the finals versus the Lakers, but I do have the Lakers going back to back no matter who comes out the East, unless a James Harden trade happens to Miami or the Bucks. But that's a whole different dynamic, or maybe even Boston. I don't know how that would work, but that's like a whole different thing. And my 4 seed for the East, I have the Raptors, so they will stay put. I think that's what they were this past season before the pandemic happened. And then when it restarted, they finished as a 4 seed. I don't see them sliding up or down. They didn't really make no crazy moves. They lost Marc Gasol. That's a big deal, but I still think that's staying pat at the 4 seed. 5th seed, I have Boston. They're not really a regular season team. I think they can make it deep in the playoffs behind Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens, slightly overrated coach. Jason Tatum, very, very good young player. He's got superstar potential all over him. I think he's already a superstar. He's got to hash out some of that. Him being so young in the league, he's got to get some more experience under his belt. And then for the 6th seed, I have the Sixers. They have a lot of question marks. They got rid of Al Horford. Big deal, getting rid of that horrible contract. Have one of the best players in the league in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Best defense players in the league, and Ben Simmons, best offensive player in Embiid. But again, with some of the rest of these teams at the 6th seed, I have the Sixers. I already said that, just repeated myself. But I have the Sixers because of Embiid's injury status from time to time. And you got to see how the new head coach does. Well, it's Doc Rivers, duh. He's a good regular season coach, but playoffs, again, he's just, I mean, for you to be a good playoff coach, you don't have to make it to the finals you just had to try to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals. It's not like you had to make it all the way. That's not what makes a good or great coach, but everybody knows about Doc Rivers' history about choking and stuff like that. And the 7th seed for the first time since 2015, the Hawks made the playoff behind Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, Gallinari, John Collins, and head coach Lloyd Pierce, I believe his name is. I don't think any of that was him or Trae Young's fault for falling short, because that roster was pretty garbage before this season, and the Hawks, or before this upcoming season that's about to happen in a couple weeks, Hawks did a very, very good job of getting that team ready for Trae Young and John Collins and the crew to push for the playoffs. But yeah, man, I could even see the Hawks being as high as a 5th seed, having them as a 7th seed due to the respect of the other teams, of course. But yeah, man, that's the team I'm most excited to watch this season. And at the 8th seed in the East, we had the Washington Wizards. Bradley Beal, one of the best scorers in the league, one of the best guards in the league. Has defensive problems, but so do all the elite guards in today's league, or most of them anyway. And you pick up Russell Westbrook. He's not a ceiling raiser, but he sure is a floor raiser. Maybe the best floor raiser there ever was. That's a debate between him and LeBron. But yeah, man, I expect this team to really shock some people and make the playoffs. I want to put them higher, but I don't want to fall too much on the hype train. That's my respect to Russell Westbrook. You can talk about how he plays with other stars and stuff like that, but when it comes to, I don't think Bradley Beal is quite a superstar. He's a star, but he's not a superstar. But when it comes to playing with, like, on lowly teams, I think you got to count Russ in and give him his respect. They had, like, Bertans and Rui Hachimura, and I'm trying to think of another. Just know those 4 players. don't really pay too much attention to the Wizards. Of course, like I said, they acquired Westbrook, got off of that John Wall contract, but they're basically the same. I think they definitely won that deal. That deal was definitely in their favor, in my opinion. But yeah, so my 1 through 8 for the East and 1 through 8 for the West. And like I said, my finals prediction is the Lakers over the Nets in 6 games. So the Lakers will repeat as back-to-back champions. But yeah, man, that's about it for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next one.